Hi, it's Dorothy Guiney with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'm going to share the layouts and projects I created in July and August 2025. Most of these are created with the kit I put together at the beginning of July. Here's the kit, and if you want a closer look, check out my kit share video. I will put a link to it below, along with links to any process videos I made using these products. So without further ado, let's get started. The first 4 pages I made with Stampin' Up's Kintsugi Inspiration Suite. It's a collection in the 2025-2026 annual catalog. For this double page spread, I did it on YouTube, so a video is listed and linked below. I'm pointing out that I used a flip flap. This is a Stampin' Up product. It is an adhesive interactive pocket that you can adhere directly to your page or on top of a page protector. I will do mine on top of a page protector, which is why it's kind of floating around right now. Now I am getting out the annual catalog, and on page 28 there are 8 scrapbooking sketches. Now I'm pointing out one of the sketches, and that is my jumping off point for this double page spread. Basically, the sketch inspired the page on the right, then I stretched it to the left. I'm going to show you 2 more pages I made with this Kintsugi Inspiration Suite. Now for the first 2 that I just showed you, I used the embellishments that were part of this collection, which were basically pottery bowls and vases. But for this layout, even though I'm using the paper from the same collection, I didn't use the embellishments. In a moment, you're going to see the complimentary page, and the photos are not covered up, and you're going to see they're kind of ocean front photos. So the vases and bowls for the Kintsugi inspirations didn't really work for it. So what I ended up doing was digging into my tools, just looking for embellishments that were more appropriate. But I did find the papers in this collection worked great for waterfront photos. So you can see I have some travel wordy bits, I have some nautical icons, all of this from tools from my stash. Now I'm going to change collections. The next 4 pages I used Stampin' Up's Painterly Pears collection. This was an online release in July 2025. So for this one here, I created it as a single page layout on YouTube. So it is listed and linked below. And once again, I'm going to point out the sketch on page 28. That was my jumping off point. And on the sketch, there's one big banner. The layout I created has 3 banners, but you can definitely see it is my jumping off point. I did create a complimentary page. All I did was repeat the same frame style foundation. And on the left, I added 4 more banners, then the photos and a bit of embellishing. I really love this design, and I do plan to revisit it again. I did do another 2 pages with this Painterly Pears collection, and when I put down the first page, you're probably going to recognize it because I already showed you a layout using the very same page design. And once again, it's one of them that's found on page 28 of the annual catalog. I will dig out the other one just so that you can see them side by side. You're going to notice on one of them, I have 2 photos. That's the one I'm digging out now. On the one that's on the table, there's just 1 photo. I changed up the placement of the title, but you can certainly see the bones. It did start with the same inspiration. Now what I will do is get out the complimentary page for this layout, and it is almost identical to the complimentary page I created for the other similar layout. The page on the left, you're going to notice I have 2 flip flaps. So on that page, there are 7 photos. I'm loving those adhesive pockets that Stampin' Up is coming out with now. They come in several different sizes. These photos were all quite big, 4 by 6. I had printed them in 2017. I didn't want to reprint them. Nowadays, I typically print my photos smaller just to get more on a layout. Nevertheless, these flip flaps tend to solve my problem. I'm absolutely loving them. Now I'm changing collections. The next 6 pages I created with Stampin' Up's Weekend Adventures collection. This is a collection that is in the 2025-2026 annual catalog. Now this one, once again, is inspired by one of the sketches on page 28 of the annual catalog. Basically, the page that you see on the right is inspired by one of the sketches. Now, obviously, I changed it up a bit, but it was my jumping off point. And you can see I did that quite a bit this summer. It was perfect for summertime scrapbooking. It was just a great, quick way to get me started. I am going to point out the trees here. I used a stamp and die set from Stampin' Up called Peaceful Evergreens. It was part of the 2024 Christmas or winter release. And I'm pointing this out, even though these are retired. When Christmas products come out, I always look at them for tools that I can use year round. And for me, often I find trees and greenery and I just use them year round. And I'm pointing it out because fall is coming and you may notice some of these products on the market. And for me, I find them particularly useful. Here are another 2 pages I created with the Weekend Adventures collection. You're going to notice here, I'm going to point out a pocket I made on the right page. You can see a tag there at the top. That is attached to a travel brochure, and I made kind of a pocket. So that's just a kind of a fun way of adding a bit of memorabilia on a page. And if the page protector is open at the top, I have a string there so I can pull it out and find that information there. Anyway, what I also find particular about that layout or about this Weekend Adventures collection was all of the colors. Intuitively, I probably wouldn't have mixed up the papers that are part of this collection. This, I'm not sure if it's a good example, maybe a bit. There's basically green, blue, brown, and red check. Anyway, they're not colors that I would normally mix together, but everything I created with this collection, I loved it so much that I actually ordered myself more of it. This double page spread, I did do it on YouTube, so there is a link listed and linked below. Once again, I used a flap, and you're going to see as well, I probably dig out the catalog again because this one was inspired by one of the sketches on page 28. Those sketches are all single page sketches, but often I stretch them into double page spreads. And this one, again, I did it on YouTube, so I explained everything, how I stretched it into a double page spread. Now I'm going to change collections again, and the next collection is called Florals in Bloom. I think I did 6 pages with it. It's actually a collection that was in my May and June kit, but I still had leftover, so I kind of carried it over into the summer. I absolutely love that collection. So this one here, a double page spread, the layout that I just showed you a few moments ago, inspired by a sketch in the catalog, this is the very same page design. For this paper, I added obviously the Florals in Bloom, but that weave looking paper that's beige there, that is from another Stampin' Up collection called Woven Textures. It was a paper pack that came out, I think it was in March 2025. So there, a double page spread. Again, there is a video for this page design listed and linked below, but not that page. It was for the one I created for Weekend Adventures. I'm going to show you another double page spread, and you're going to notice this page here with the banners. I've already showed you a page using that very same page design. Again, inspired by a sketch in the annual catalog. I am just digging out the other one. So there they are, side by side. You can see how it's the same inspiration. Once again, different material, of course, different photo orientations, different title placement, but it was the same jumping off point. Also, I switched this one up by creating a different complementary page. If you recall the other one, I simply extended the banners over onto the left-hand page. This one here, I added a grid on the left-hand page. So that's another way of making layouts look different, even with the same jumping off point. I did 2 more pages with this Florals in Bloom collection. And even though it's a very floral collection, this is kind of a masculine birthday. Obviously, Wish is in that petunia pop pink, but it doesn't look overly floral and overly feminine. I am showing you the alphas there, Wish. Those are with a brand new alpha set from Stampin' Up called Party Alphabet Dies. They are absolutely huge. I think they measure about 2¼ inches. For the other embellishments, basically what I did was I used some tools from my stash, those balloons and those candles. So now I am going to change collections again. In the next 2 pages, I created with another collection called Lovely Florals. And this again was kind of a carryover from my May and June kit. I had some leftover, so I kept it nearby. This one here, you may recognize the design. Stampin' Up offered a virtual album retreat in July. It was their first album retreat. And basically you purchased it and you got all of the material plus classes to create 24 pages, 12 double page spreads. This was one of the designs. Obviously, I'm using different material, and I did switch up the placement of certain photos and stuff like that. But the banners on the right page, that semicircle with the numbers on the right page was all part of the design offered by Stampin' Up. So obviously, you can buy this virtual album retreat, but you can use those designs over and over again. And I particularly loved this design. Now I'm going to change collections again. And this one I brought in. It wasn't part of my kit in the month of July. This kit is cute as can be. It was an online collection that was released in January 2025 by Stampin' Up. This double page spread, I did it on YouTube, so that video is listed and linked below. And once again, I'm opening up the catalog to page 28 because it was inspired by one of the sketches that I just pointed out. So again, the sketch I used is for the page on the right, then I stretched it to the left. There were a few different purchasing options for this collection. I have the paper pack and stickers along with that stamp set, Be My Valentine and a punch. It also came in a workshop form, so the paper was a little bit different. There were added embellishments and guides for creating 3 double page spreads. Now this next double page spread was actually a scrap lift from a layout on the Stampin' Up website. When this collection was released in January 2025, the layouts for the workshop kit, again, which had 3 double page spreads, were photographed on the site, and I used that as inspiration for this layout. Switched up the paper, of course, but that was my design, and I absolutely love it. Now, after creating this, I felt like I needed a bit more inspiration for this collection because it's a little bit cutesy for me, but funny. I love everything I made with it. I watched a video on YouTube by a woman called Kelly Baxter Fitzgerald. She's known as Snips by Kelly on YouTube, and she is fabulous. She kills a kit like no other. She did a layout share with this collection, and in the description box below, she had a couple options for purchasing workshop cutting guides, and I bought a 10-page workshop cutting guide. So these 2 pages here came from that cutting guide. I switched up the embellishments a bit, switched up the paper selection a bit, but it is her design and I absolutely love it, and I will probably do it again with other collections. I'm pointing out the little toadstools there. I did use another tool called Terrific Toadstools. I did slip it in my kit at the beginning of July because I had purchased it many months before and hadn't used it. So I finally got to use it. That stamp set coordinates with a punch. I'm also showing you as well, I have one of those flip flaps there, and underneath that is some journaling and another photo. The next single page layout I'm going to show you also was inspired by that Snips by Kelly workshop cutting guide. Again, I did switch up the paper selection, I switched up the embellishments, but it's definitely her design, especially that quilt pattern there. So that was really fun to create. I loved having that guide. I still have another 7 pages from it that I can create with it. I will link up the layout share video below, her layout share video for this collection. It's absolutely fabulous. And in the description box below, you will have all the information about her workshop cutting guides. Now I'm showing you a paper pumpkin box. This summer I decided to sign up for Paper Pumpkin, which is a monthly paper crafting subscription by Stampin' basically from cards. And I did it for 3 months. This is my first one. It was for the month of July. And what I ended up doing was creating 1 layout and 8 cards. Here's the layout. I did do it on YouTube, so it is listed and linked below. Now, it does look a little bit different. In the video, I said I would be creating a complimentary page for it. I decided not to. Instead, I added an extra photo to this layout. I just felt like the photos I had for this story didn't merit a double page spread. That's why I added an extra photo. So in that video, I had showed you 4 cards that I had already made as part of this paper crafting kit. And since I decided not to create a complimentary page, you're going to see I ended up making 4 more cards. So with July's Paper Pumpkin, I made 8 cards plus a layout. So it was really fun. Again, that was my first time getting Paper Pumpkin. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue, not because I don't find the quality fabulous, because believe me, I was blown away by it. The problem is I don't like ordering things unless I know I can use them. And I do not want to start collecting Paper Pumpkin kits unused. Anyway, for me so far, July's kit, I've completely used it and I am waiting for August's kit and I'm very excited about it actually. Now what I'm going to do is flip through all of the layouts just to give you a second look at all of it. So basically, that's it. I'm showing you the pages. I hope you enjoyed this layout share. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be thrilled and honored if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Have a great day, and I'll be back on YouTube in a few days with my September and October kit share. See you soon. Bye-bye.